Well, joining us from Washington, D.C., we've got Al-Hamdani, who is a Yemeni analyst, visiting fellow at Georgetown University. Nice to have you with us. What do you make of what the Saudis have said? It's certainly not an apology. It is an admission, it would seem.
It could be a beginning of an apology. You could make two things out of what they said and out of them claiming that this is in fact a mistake. One, that potentially they could change their ways and now start claiming accidents, which is a really good step because it's the first step to issuing reparations to families of those who were hurt in this incident. And then it's also a way to hold them accountable for their actions. Now, another way to look at this, and it would be a much cynical way of looking at it, it's to say that the international pressure surrounding this specific incident, specifically from the United States, was really heavy, that the Saudi Arabians had to come out and say that this is in fact their mistake. Now we're hoping that in fact this is the former, especially that now they will go to Geneva and participate in the talks starting September 3rd.
That's what I was going to say, actually, more leaning towards the latter, unfortunately, is that with peace talks coming up, maybe the timing of this was crucial to show that there is some ability to, as you say, begin the process of apologizing and reparations before the peace talks.
Well, the most important thing is that the Saudis do not behave in this conflict the same way that rebel militias acting on the ground. And it is, in fact, important that they hold themselves accountable to international standards of law and to prevent those who are civilians in this conflict. Of course, we know this is not the first time that the Saudis have attacked civilians, but it is important. It's a first step to making sure that now that we are starting to claim accidents, that Saudi Arabia ideally would have a commission created of outside parties, meaning those who have nothing to do with the conflict, to investigate what went wrong in this case, how did they end up targeting civilians. Now, if they can't do that, of course, in the past we've seen that Saudi Arabia does not like to have a coalition of outsiders, but they have their own mechanisms within Saudi Arabia to investigate what went wrong, was it our information, or how did this error come about, and then to put penalties in place to make sure that in the future you don't target schools, you don't target hospitals, you do not target historical sites, and you make sure that those who are damaged and hurt, especially those who are children, women, that their families receive the reparations they need.
What do you feel, just looking forward, Samal, what do you feel about the prospects for these peace talks beginning on Monday? Yemen has started to take on that sort of Syria-esque feeling, the feel of it being unending and not having anywhere that it's really going. Do you think that is the case, or is there a potential for some sort of breakthrough, or at least the start of some sort of breakthrough?
I think that Yemen is slightly different than Syria in that the problem in Yemen is actually solvable if everybody comes to the table. It has been going on for a really long time, but we've seen continuously that the U.S. is going to stand behind Martin Griffith to make sure that these peace talks take place. Hello?
Oh, yeah, carry on.
Sorry, I think I'm losing you. And over that, too, it's really important to see that Martin Griffith is a British he is a person coming from Europe who's going to lead these peace talks. And so, in a sense, we have the international community now coming, all of them together, saying we want an exit to this war. Especially in the U.S. with the last attack, there have been a lot of Americans who are talking about how Lockheed Martin is the distributor and the maker of these weapons used on the ground. And a lot of Americans are finally catching on to see the role of the U.S. in all of this. And the more that they target civilians, the more that their backer and supporter, the United States here, is going to be more embarrassed and afraid to support them in the future.
Really pleased to get your perspective on this. Al-Hamdani joining us from Washington, D.C. Thank you.